So there are three top prospects from the Yankees that are likely candidates to be moved this offseason and probably should be. Okay. It's probably more. We're going to look and see. I mean, these guys are not Rule 5 candidates or anything like that, but there are three guys that I want to talk about that could fill roles for the Yankees in a way they're traded, right? And let's go through each one of these guys. And by the way, if you're a Yankee fan, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff like this. Okay, we like to play mock GM. We like to figure out ways to help make the team better, right? In our view as a fan. So, if you like doing this stuff, you like being part of a great community, you're not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button too. And when I go live, when news comes out, you'll always get it. You'll always be in front of the line. And I thank you so much for it. We are marching towards 22K, 22,000 subs. So your support really, really means the world, and I greatly appreciate it. Now, prospect number one. Oswald Peraza. Okay. I like Oswald Peraza. I wish the Yankees would have given him more of a shot over the last couple of years. Yes, he had an injury recently, but this guy had one of the best gloves in the system. And, he really started becoming a better hitter this year, too. He's batting 243 with 16 homers, 63 RBIs, 25 steals, and a 750 OPS. And a short cup of coffee. He only had 10 at-bats up in the majors this year. He batted 200, one homer, one RBI, OPS of 773. So, but his glove, he's known for his glove, having an elite glove. I thought at some point it would have been sensible to move Anthony Volpe over to second and then have Oswald Peraza at shortstop. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I think Anthony Volpe is going to be the mainstay at shortstop, especially after winning a Gold Glove and potentially setting himself up to win another one this year. His on-base percentage and not his on-base, his fielding percentage is better this year than it was last year. So now, unfortunately, I think Oswald Peraza needs to change his scenery and needs to move down. He could be a trade piece for a valuable piece. Okay, now think about this too. The Yankees have almost $100 million coming off the books. Juan Soto, if you want to re-sign him, is probably going to cost half that, right? So right off the bat, that's with one guy. We also know that Hal Steinbrenner has noted a desire to not have to be over the $300 million threshold every year. And rightfully so. Being over the Cohen threshold pretty much doubles what you're going to pay over in incentives. So, and then you add revenue sharing that they pay more than any other team in baseball, that 300 becomes about 450 every year. Okay. Every single year. It's an extra $150 million that they're just doling out. So I can understand why they'd want to go, on the cheap and actually play some of the prospects. I know they get accused of prospect hugging, so on and so forth, but they've traded a lot of prospects recently too. But these three guys, I think have the most value as being traded elsewhere. Oswald Peraza is number one. Okay. And again, could you move him for a reliever, a reliable reliever with controllable years, or a back end starter, or something, right? Yankees have holes, and I think their bullpen is going to look completely different next year. Their rotation maybe a little bit, but I think the bullpen is going to look completely different. Maybe their bench too. So Peraza is number one. Second one is Everson Pereira. Yes, he's coming off Tommy John, but in a short sample size, he had 162 bats. He batted 280, 265, 10 homers, 27 ribbies, 5 steals, and OPS of 858. He was rated at as high as number 3 on the Yankees prospect list. So he's a dynamic player. Hits from the right-handed side just like Oswald Peraza. But another guy was unfortunately blocked, right, by Jason Dominguez and maybe even Spencer Jones. So unfortunately, he's blocked. And just like Oswald Peraza is too, he's unfortunately blocked. So, and he's out of options as well. So could you move him and get something of value in return, just like Everson Pereira? Could you move him and get something of value in return, right? And lastly, this one might not make people happy, but Roderick Arias. Okay. Now, we also have George Lombard, too. And Roderick Arias bat 473 at-bats this year, batted 233, 13 home runs, 74 ribbies, and 37 steals. So he's in single A. George in high A. Pereira and Peraza are in triple A. So, but the problem with Arias is, some of the Yankees insiders and the scouts like George Lombard hire. I like Arias' versatility. He's a switch hitter, and his speed is a plus asset too. But if they're going to go one or the other, and the problem is too, where would he play? If Volpe's going to remain the shortstop, and there's probably only two guys that would move Volpe to second base for, and he's got to show a willingness to do it. He's got to be okay with it. But Peraza and probably Arias. George Lombard, at the very least, could maybe be a third baseman. So he's got a better arm. Okay. But with that said, Roderick Arias could probably be a final piece to sweeten the deal for a starting pitcher with controllable years, right? Or a reliever with controllable years. And this is where it makes a lot more sense, because when I go back to the payroll, yeah, I hope the Yankees go after Tanner Scott, but I can't see a scenario where he's going to cost less than $15, $20 million a year. Let's just say Soto gets 50 and Scott gets 20. That's 70 million out of the 100 million that comes off the books, just in two guys. So, and I don't think the Yankees are going to want to go right back up to the top again. They want to get back under the Cohen threshold. So, and they're going to get cheaper in certain positions, but can they do it and get the players they need at the same time is the question. It also remains to be seen how far the Yankees go this year, right? Playoffs start in week. I mean, there's 6 games left to the season. You got 3 against the Orioles, 3 against the Pirates. The magic number is 1 to win the division, and magic number is 3 to clinch number 1 seed, which is bye and home field advantage. So, and if the Yankees can do that, they're in the best spot possible. And the rest of their games are at home in Yankee Stadium. So I'm very much excited. They're off today, but I'm hoping that they can continue, win that, clinch it tomorrow, clinch the division tomorrow, and at least, relax a little bit. Maybe can start resting a couple guys here and there too. But going back to this, Roderick Arias, and I like the Roderick Arias George Lombard duo, but I like the Spencer Jones Jason Dominguez duo more. And Spencer Jones also has positional versatility. We can play outfield at an elite level and potentially play first base too. And I know we have Ben Rice here. I know there's TJ Rumfield. This is another guy. TJ Rumfield could be a third base option too. But would he be blocking George Lombard or vice versa, right? So this is where one of these guys are going to have to be a trade piece. And I think Arias will probably fetch the most value back because of his versatility and his skill set. So, and if you can get a starter with controllable years or a reliever or maybe both with controllable years, it might make sense to trade some of these guys, especially if they're blocked and not going to have an opportunity to come up here and play full time anyway. So this is where I think the Yankees offseason is going to be very interesting. And I think they can make quite a few moves and really, really fortify this team and make them better with players that aren't even playing here anyway and might not get a chance to play here anyway. So let me know what your thoughts are, gang. Load up the comments. I mean, again, Arias, Pereira, and Peraza represent, to me, the most sensible options. I think the guys that will likely be traded in the offseason and probably should be traded in the offseason. I understand the argument for keeping Roderick Arias. I'm fine with that too. But if you can extract a good value back from him, and if you can get a Tarek Skubal for him without having to give up Spencer Jones, I don't know if it's possible, but I mean, you add to Roderick Arias instead of forking up Spencer Jones for Tarek Skubal, whole different ballgame, right? So we'll see what happens this offseason, but I do think 1 or 2 of these guys are likely going to be moved, and they should be. And again, it allows the Yankees to fortify one of the areas that they're going to need most is the bullpen. And if you can get guys with controllable years, it makes a lot of sense to part ways with 1 or 2 of these guys. I like them all. I like Oswald Peraza. I wish he would have gotten a fairer shake here. Unfortunately, he didn't. Everson Pereira, I wish he didn't get hurt, but he was looking pretty promising too. And Roderick Arias, since being drafted internationally, he's shown nothing but promise, and he's kind of been improving through. He still has to work on some things on his offensive skill set, but he's showing to be, as every bit of a prospect as we thought he'd be. So, but give me your thoughts, King. Let's talk about it. Do you see these guys? Who else do you see being traded this offseason? Okay, and by the way, Chase Hampton is Rule 5 eligible, so I think they're going to get him onto the 40 minutes. So stay tuned, gangs. More news coming. Talk to you later.